Hey guys, here today to talk about director Robert Bresson. Seen about 5 or 6 of his films, and I've been amazed by at least 5 of them. So yeah, he's a great director. I still have more I want to crack open, but I figure I'll go ahead and discuss some of the few of the ones I have seen. I'll start with the film Diary of a Country Priest. This came out in the year 1951, and this is just an amazing downfall of just like it's just like a character who's just almost too concerned with helping others out to a point where it literally corrupts his soul. Um, Reminds me a lot of like how Taxi Driver is, where it kind of blurs the line between almost like having a desire to do some good, but it almost makes you a messed up, tormented person in the process. Like, and I feel like this is like sort of a study of just that kind of arc and a complete transition. It's just left one of those impacts that's never really left me, and I really want to rewatch this over and over again so I can just further dissect its subtleties and just its layered details, because there's so many things going on in this film. Like, it really hones in on, I think, a lot of madness that can come from a lot of just being like a religious leader in general, a cult leader, or whatever it may be in general. Like you almost have this like desire, like you're helping humanity, but you also kind of go crazy because you see that, there's almost like a selfish asshole living in that also. So it's almost like finding that fine middle line. Yeah, it's just a great complex character study. I really can't wait to see this one again because it's absolutely mesmerizing in what it sets out to do. Then we got A Man Escaped. This came out in 1956. It's about the most pure and visceral film I've ever seen or one of the most visceral films I've ever seen in my life, as far as just like a detailed study of just like escaping from prison. I think this is very simple in the way it's portrayed, even more simple than a film like Les Trolls. Because this one just has a lot of distinctive spirituality living in it. Like, it reminds me a lot of listening to like A Love Supreme by John Coltrane, where it feels like there's something of a spiritual cleanse going on within this escape. There's like a longing for freedom that comes from all of this. Like, these characters are in the face of death the entire way through, so there's just this kind of longing that you as a viewer will really feel, of just a yearning for freedom, a yearning for these characters to, honestly break out. Like and it just goes. It really is just layered in as far as like showing the amount, I guess, just the pressure a person is willing to put on themselves in order to get themselves out of such a hell. So. I think what's best about it is it's none of it's really exaggerated. Like, I love a movie like Shawshank Redemption just about as much, but I think here there's like no melodrama to make it. Nothing about it's over the top at all. Like, it's just a very smoothly, realistically paced out, Prison Break, but it's done so intensely and masterfully that it only gets better as time passes. Honestly, so it's really one of the best expressions of freedom just yearning for freedom I've ever seen in my life. So it's a pretty perfect film. Then we got Pickpocket. This is a pretty good one. This didn't hit me as strong as the previously two mentioned films or some to come, but I thought that this was a really great story in here, and I think that the craft behind it all is just so excellent. Maybe some of the acting is a little corny at times, but overall, it's really fantastic within its simplicity. I think that's what Bresson really is at the end of the day. He's a director seeking ultimate simplicity within complex characters and situations, and I think that he in this film really is trying to hone in on a certain kind of like just straightforwardness. Like, let's just get straight to the point of what the story's trying to do. He doesn't really let scenes ramble or drag for nothing, basically. There's always a poetic reason and meaning behind every frame of his films, I would say. And then in 1966, he made Hasard Baltzhazar. This is a very raw display of just evil happening. There's no rhyme or reason for any of it. It just happens, and you just kind of have to go with it. I think that one thing Bresson does so well, it reminds me a lot of what like director Louis Buñuel does, as far as just like kind of masterfully balancing just evil as it just casually happens. Like, it doesn't really dramatize or make it seem like big. It's just as neutral as good events happening, and I think that just makes it all the better and more masterful whenever evil is presented that way. Like, okay, like, it's deceptive. I could easily fall for that, kind of thing. It's just a very harrowing and dark story the entire way through, and I just felt excuse me, very sad after watching it. And I think it reminds me a lot of the Coen Brothers' No Country for Old Men, largely because there's no soundtrack behind any of this. This is all just kind of just these events in motion, and there's just nothing really behind it to make it dramatized at all. Like, it's just the sadness just kind of creeps up on you. Like, it's funny because this is one of those films where I don't feel so sad while I'm watching it, but whenever I walk away from it, I start to want to just cry because of the way the film made me feel. So it's really beautiful. And then we get to 1967, Mouchette. This is just about the most brutal thing I've ever seen. There's all kinds of just mistreatment and, just a real desire to build a desirable life whenever there's poverty going. There's just goodness gracious, yeah, this is one of the best stories I've ever seen of this. Being a young girl in the midst of face of poverty and just trying to break free and find your own person. Nadine Nordier, man, she just brings so many layers to her performance. Her character is just absolutely brilliant. The self-titled character, Mouchette. Um, and again, I say it about every single Bresson film, and I'll say it again. It's the simplicity that really drives it all home. Like, it really reminds me like Yasuro Ozu kind of had something going on, but this is like a very different brand of humanism. This is the dryness. This reminds me a lot more of like, like you could say that Ozu really had a lot of love and compassion for his characters. Not to say Bresson doesn't, but he's just a lot more dry in his execution. Like, it's a lot darker. His films are generally a lot darker themes, darker situations, and just characters who are just often innocent, who are just kind of have evil happen to them for no real reason. You just kind of have to go with it. I think Bresson just goes for an unsettling chord all throughout this. It's very powerful. He managed to do an awful lot with it in such a short runtime. I'm really fascinated by that quality about it. And then we get to my absolute favorite film he made, Four Nights of a Dream. This is tied with A Man Escape, but I think this has to hit home as being the most personal film he made. One of my favorite films of all time. I've seen this twice. And the atmosphere of this film just means everything. I honestly can find a lot of relatability to the character. Just kind of wandering around, like as a I'm on the filmmaking musician side, so it's easy to relate to a lot of the poetic aspirations he has. There's so much loneliness. He's charming, but he's extremely lonely. But he just has a distinctive way of embracing his own melancholy. Like, he kind of lives in a certain balance and flow that's just really fascinating. Like, he doesn't seem like he's necessarily like depressed with his life or anything. Like, he seems like he's got a certain kind of fulfillment. He may seem like a bit of a sad sack, but he's really not, not bad. Like, he's actually just able to enjoy kind of the simple pleasures and beauty in life. There's people he meets along the way. In the end, he's alone, but it's like, but he's got creativity, he's got imagination. It's a different thing altogether. You could say that's kind of a bleak outlook, but I find a lot of optimism in this kind of character personally. It's just very entertaining from start to finish. I'm just consistently amazed by the color schemes, the way that it just gets into just different shades of this character just throughout his days and nights. I can relate so much to just a lot of these scenes of just kind of walking around. Like, I guess a lot of insecurities can kind of feel like, especially if you just haven't really done a lot of the dating, having a girlfriend thing. Like, a lot of it, you honestly can just almost feel like a creep whenever you get too close to certain people. But once you crack that shell, you're not. And, but it's just a lot of shyness can kind of make you get to your head in a certain way. And I think this is a film that really explores a certain comfort behind that. It's like, there's nothing wrong with being like that. And there's just a lot of beauty to seeing that others are like that too. You meet someone else who's also very shy, but they have beautiful things to say once you just find the right effective way to communicate with them. This is a film that just gets into all of these things, and it's just beautiful. That's the best word I could think of to describe this film. And then I've got a few more I need to see, especially L'Argent. But overall, those are the Bresson films I've seen and loved. He's got some great ones, so highly recommend checking him out.